This poll is unlike any other poll you'll see out there in the field these days. Most people are polling the presidential primaries on the Republican side, and then you'll see national polls, the head-to-head against President Biden and former President Trump. What our Battleground states poll looked at was the 7 swing states that are going to matter the most in the Electoral College next year. We polled all of them individually, and we polled them collectively. And when you poll them collectively, you can get a higher sample size. We had 5,023 respondents in this poll. That gets us down to a 1 percentage point margin of error. It's higher in each individual state, but what it shows is President Trump is leading in 5 of those 7 states. He's leading in Arizona, Georgia, he's leading in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Nevada, President Biden is leading in, and it's a dead tie in Michigan. But across the states, former President Trump is leading by 4 percentage points, and that's outside the margin of error. So it's an encouraging poll for former President Trump.
It's all about the economy, right?
Stupid.
Yeah.
You're not stupid, but it is all about the economy.
So that's what this poll indicated. And I think what's puzzling to me, Gregory, is that the economy is actually pretty good right now. You have unemployment at, a very low rate, under 4% right now. You have the number of companies, job openings, almost 2 jobs available for every person who's looking for a job. Retail sales, yes, we're not seeing the same safety net that Americans had during the pandemic. That's starting to dwindle away. But it sort of seems like, to me, a messaging error on the part of the White House.
Look, what we have seen in public opinion going back some time is that there's always a lag between the economic indicators that we pay attention to, especially here at Bloomberg, and how that filters out to public opinion. And the best sort of research on this suggests that voters are kind of looking at the economy in the rearview mirror. They're looking back maybe 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And it takes a while for good economic news to filter down to people. And so that's part of what's going on here is the number one issue is the economy. And within that, the number one economic issue for voters in these swing states is inflation. And even though inflation has ebbed a little bit, people are still seeing higher prices than they were paying 2-3 years ago. The presidential inflation index, which Republicans like to point to, that's the cumulative inflation rate since President Biden took office, is something like 16% or more. And that's sort of what people notice. And yeah, it's going to take a while. And so what President Biden is hoping is in the next 13 months, he continues to get some good economic news, and people, more importantly, will feel that good economic news.
We talk about new paradigms, and I do feel like people are working, and it used to be you have a job, that's a good thing for a president, right? Because if people are working, they feel pretty confident. But it's like this new paradigm, okay, I've got a job, but man, I'm paying so much for everyone or for everything. And I do think about that, Gregory, that we're just voters out there. It's a little bit different in terms of, it's not just about having a job and being fully employed. It's a bigger picture.
Absolutely, and one of the good things about this poll, and if I can say, as a reporter, I report on other polls out there all the time, and there are good other polls out there. But when Bloomberg commissions a poll, we get to ask some very good economic questions. And so, one of the questions we asked is, within the economy, what's important to you in the economy? And in normal times, you would absolutely see that. You would see unemployment and good jobs being the top issues. In this poll, what we found, the top issue was inflation, and then taxes, and then good jobs and good wages. People, and what's interesting here is that wages aren't keeping up with inflation, but people don't blame the wages; they blame the inflation. That's clearly the number one issue for people.
It's also interesting, given that so much stimulus actually happened under the Trump administration. So, certainly the Biden administration has spent a lot of money in the Inflation Reduction Act and certainly with stimulus as well. But it's also a bipartisan issue that, I guess is being blamed on the person in the White House, Gregory.
Yeah, and that's the messaging problem that really any president has, is the presidents get a little bit of a honeymoon period where they're allowed to blame their predecessor for whatever woes they inherited. President Biden is now 2.5 years into his term, more so. He has to own this economy. We can have academic debates about whether the spending, the COVID-era spending that happened under former President Trump contributed to some of the inflation that we've seen. As I said, that's an academic debate. But there's only one president at a time, and there's only one guy that voters are going to blame,
right,
regardless of the administration, and that's the guy who lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Gregory, not to diss your poll or the Bloomberg poll, but
be careful, Carol.
Fool me once on polling, shame on you. Fool me twice on polling, shame on me. Like, I just think about, remember all the polls ahead of the election of Donald Trump? We were really fooled, if you will. So I'm like, how do we know what to really trust to be fair?
Yeah, and look,
and I got to tell you, I've never been polled. Like, I'm like, who are you asking?
Oh, and when you ask people whether they trust polls, that's the number one answer you'll hear back from people who don't trust polls is, well, they can't be accurate because nobody asked my opinion, right? Look, and not to get too deeply into the methodology, because we do care about the methodology, and if you can go on Bloomberg.com or the Bloomberg terminal and read to your heart's content about the methodology. We talked about the margin of error. It's a very low margin of error across these states. In each individual state, I should make the point that all of these 7 states are within the margin of error for those states. It's only collectively that we have a lower margin of error. But there are other sources of polling error, right? There's how you ask the question matters, who responds matters. And we have seen in the past few years this trend towards what we call shy Trump voters who are less likely to respond to pollsters. We try to compensate for that by overweighting those voters, trying to understand who they are, making sure that we have that the number of people we're polling match the number of people who voted for each candidate in the last election. And so, look, we're always fighting the last war on polling and trying to adapt. But absolutely, there's statistical error, there's methodological error, and let's not forget, there's temporal error in that we are 13 months out from this election. A lot can change between now and November 2024.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one of those things could be the legal woes that former President Trump is facing right now. What does the polling indicate about voters' thoughts on that?
You know, we did not ask that question specifically. This is a very economically focused.
But I'm sorry, I meant in general polling, not outside
but
of this
we
Bloomberg
did ask.
poll.
No, but what we did ask in this Bloomberg poll, and it's very interesting, we asked, what have you seen, read, or heard about the various candidates recently in the news? And then we asked an open-ended question, tell us what you heard. And we heard a lot when we asked about President Biden, we heard a lot about his age. But when we asked about President Trump, the open-ended response, just tell us what you know about this guy, what we're hearing from both Democrats and Republicans is his legal troubles, his court cases, his indictments. And we're hearing it from Democrats, obviously, who feel like it's disqualifying. We're also hearing it from Republicans who say, all I hear about in the news is about President Trump's legal problems. That's not the only issue out there, and I feel like I'm being bombarded with it. But it's clearly penetrating.